indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing while I ask for a moment of silence for past Parks and Recreation Commissioner David Beckel. May he rest in peace. Thank you. Roll.
Brent Bassoon.
Here.
Tobin.
Here.
Kleiner. Here. Johnson.
Here.
John Francois.
Here.
Burr.
Here.
Green.
Here.
Massey.
Here.
President Rodriguez.
Here.
And we have a quorum.
Approval of minutes.
Tonight we have the minutes from April 7th, 2020.
So moved. Resolution by Massey, seconded by Alderman Green. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Correspondence.
Nothing this evening.
For the good of the city, anyone would like to address the council online?
At this time, there is no one who would like to speak to the council.
Thank you, Eileen. Moving on to department heads, economic development.
Good evening. Tonight, you have a resolution regarding our community development block grant amendment to the action plan and to receive community development COVID-related funds. We've done 2 public hearings regarding this, one last week, April 30th, and one today. So we went through all of the motions, and Patty put everything together for HUD and packaged everything. So tonight, we need your support. The plan, the amendment is going to contain the following. As you know, we're receiving $292,206. It's all going to be for COVID related. We crafted the programs, public service. We're going to do funds going towards the Middletown Pantry Program, the Gilda St. Margaret Soup Kitchen, purchasing of sanitizing equipment for public spaces and playgrounds, and we're crafting for, under economic development, a small business loan, COVID micro loan program for businesses, and then there's some admin funds. So that's what's going to be submitted, and look forward to your support on this evening. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
DPW Commissioner. Yes.
Good evening, all. Everybody is away from me, more than 6 feet, Mayor. So,
Yeah, stay away from me.
yeah, 6 feet. So I've got to be just to talk for a few minutes, and then that's it. Good evening, Mayor and Common Council. So to be quick here, as you will see, the partitions were requested by the council president in here, and they have basically separation between the aldermen. That was provided last time. Now we made on a quick notice. Now we made them a little bit nicer, so it's safer for the aldermen to sit here and even without a mask on if they wish. And hopefully it's
Yes,
acceptable.
please
to the
tell
council
Walter,
president.
thank you.
Thank you very much. I will let him know. He worked very hard on it, Walter, and he's very happy to hear that from you. Thank you. A reminder, the electronic drop-off that was scheduled for May 23rd, we discussed that with the mayor, and we thought it's best to delay the drop-off to later notice. We will keep you posted, the public, when we do that. The same thing for the spring cleanup. It has not been canceled. It's just been postponed. And we request that everybody that has any junk or garbage sitting on the curbside for us to pick up, just take it back into your property, please, until you receive further notice from us, because the city doesn't look really acceptable at all when we have junk on the outside. And we realize it's tough times right now, so we don't want to issue tickets or violations or take people to court. Please help us out. Also, another issue that's going to be coming right now in the spring, which is the grass. The grass is going to be growing fast. Council President, he's going to be all hopping mad at us because he sees the grass going up and he gets very upset about it. I get very upset about it, so please help us out by keeping your property, your grass cut and maintained. It's very helpful. It will give the proper image about our city, which is it's extremely clean city, and I'm very proud of it. Now I'll get into capital projects. The mayor is going to address the green infrastructure / parking lots project. Another project that we're working on, capital project, is the Davish Park expansion. Reminder for contractors, the bid opening is May 14th. May 14th. So this month, obviously middle of the month. So please, if anybody's interested, you can pick up the plans and specs from us, from DPW here, and hopefully we'll have good participation. Water main replacement. That included the 12-inch water main that goes through the Davish Park expansion location. Bids were opened in April 30th last week, and we did receive favorable bids. This project includes, by the way, the 12-inch line, it goes back to 1887. That's the year it was installed, give or take. It's the high-pressure water main. It does have breaks in it, and so it's ideal time for us to replace it, take it out, abandon it in place so we can build the park on top of it, and then build a new one right at the property line in there. This will include also replacing a 20-inch high-pressure water main from the water treatment plant all the way down to community development campus for the former psychiatric center. That one we have $500,000 grant. The mayor was able to get us that grant for $500,000 through the state. The project cost is about construction only $3.55 million. Another project, the ADA curbs and sidewalks. That's a grant that we got. I sent you a detailed email today. The mayor and I have been working for about a week and a half, almost nonstop, trying to get the financing in place for this project because it came over budget, and we were able to squeeze some money from other projects that are funded by the DOT in order to make this project happen. And we will talk about it much more, this project, next week, hopefully, in next Common Council meeting when we make a recommendation for the award. We tried so hard to get it before you tonight, but unfortunately we could not do it because DOT, they're very fussy about WBE and MBE contractors and meeting the targets, and they have to be registered and so on and so forth. We tried very hard. We couldn't. By the way, it did take some phone calls between the mayor and the county executive to line up the remaining funds for this project, which we sincerely appreciate that. Again, there's much more detailed email before you that will explain everything about this project, and it does include sidewalks throughout the city. The traffic operation, that's about 27, 28 signalized intersection in the city. The project is being designed by a big traffic engineering outfit, WSP. Yesterday we had a conference phone call with the DOT to discuss the progress of the project, and we are on target so far, knowing what we know now, to meet advertising the project out for bid in October this year. This project is severely short on funds, but we are talking with Orange County Transportation Council and the DOT and the county executive to line up more funding for this project, the traffic operations. The project could cost up to $18 million, and we will be responsible for some portion of matching funds for this project. That's really all I have for you for tonight. If you have any questions for me.
Any question for Jacob? Thank you, Jacob.
Yep, thank you.
The fire chief is on. We're going to unmute and go with the fire chief. He's live on the internet. Chief, are you on?
Unfortunately, I don't see him.
Oh, he said he was on.
What's the name?
Don Lewis?
I don't see him, unfortunately.
Okay, we'll go to John.
I have nothing this evening.
Any question for John? Okay. Okay, moving on to public hearings.
Okay, tonight we have a public hearing, informal public hearing for the sanitation plan for the city of Middletown. Please take notice that the City of Middletown Common Council will hold an informal public hearing on the new sanitation plan on Tuesday, May 5th, commencing at 8 p.m. The draft plan will be available for viewing on the city website, and the public hearing will be conducted via teleconference and live on Channel 20 for viewing. In order to ensure safety and welfare of the city residents, the Common Council will not have the public at this meeting, but will be televised live on Channel 20. Members of the public may also access the public hearing by clicking on the link that will get you into the virtual meeting. Please take further notice that the public hearing is being held in accordance with the New York State Public Officers Law and Executive Order 202-1, issued on March 12th by the New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo. If for any person unable to participate at the time of the meeting, email comments may be submitted in advance to my email, which as of this time I have not received any. No in-person attendance is permitted for this meeting. Public comment shall be permitted, and all persons participating may be entitled to be heard. And also, please note that all these meetings will be recorded. This is by the order of the Common Council. This was dated April 30th, 2020. It was also on the city website and published in the Times Herald Record on April 30th, 2020.
Okay, at this time, the public hearing is now open.
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to begin by referencing anyone who has looked at some of the previous drafts to the May 5th, 2020 draft that was submitted to the council and made available to the public on all social media and on our website. I want to begin by thanking the team members, Council President Rodriguez, Finance Chairman Joe Massey, Chairman of the Public Works Committee, Jean Francois, Jacob Tweel, our Commissioner of Public Works, and Mark Pengel, his Assistant Commissioner, for all their input as we put this together, along with Don Paris, who has provided us with some of the financial information. We've been working at this for a couple of years now, and as you know, our equipment is very old, but it didn't begin that way. It began with us considering options a couple of years back on how to reduce the cost to the taxpayers. So for the last few weeks, or a couple of weeks, we've been publishing this, and I have received some input from the public. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to address some of the questions that people had sent to me, and I grouped them together to about, I think it's about 8 or 9, maybe a little bit more questions that I'll try to preempt any questions being asked by, but you feel free, if I don't address it directly, if you're online, to please ask the question, or if you're a member of the council. The number one question that came from people is, why do we need this? And the reason why we need this now has absolutely changed since when we began it. We began for two reasons, where one was the safety of the workers, and two was financial consideration as we were moving forward. Add in the coronavirus, and you can see the cancellation of our bulk pickup and our electronic pickup, and communities throughout our country are now looking at the mechanical arm as a way to reduce the exposure of employees to the virus also. So that's an added reason. But there was two issues. One was the savings to the taxpayers, both in manpower, through attrition, not through layoff. We estimated probably close to about $500,000 when fully implemented, and the attrition impacts are felt. And also the change in workman's comp claims. When the original analysis was done, 50% of all workman's comp claims in the city of Middletown were attributed to the sanitation department. You can understand why. It's a lot of back heavy lifting, all types of weather, and it's just very difficult work for someone to be on that truck doing all that kind of lifting. So we're going to go from 3 persons to mostly 1 person on a truck in many of the areas. I'll get into some of those other things later and other questions on what I meant by mostly 1 truck. So one of the other questions was you state in your proposal that Middletown recycling rates are, quote, abysmal. Why haven't you done something about it? Good question. Good point. And they are abysmal, and I've been saying it almost every year for the last few years in my state of the city. And it's a fair criticism to me and to you as council members that we have not done a good job in Middletown with recycling. As you know, we've hovered around 6% on, and we do that by weight. 6% of our solid waste collected versus the amount of recyclables collected, and then it's just recyclables over total solid waste, and that's the number that we ended up coming up with. So it is a fair criticism, and I accept it. We did make a big push for recycling when the markets were high, when the recycling markets were high, and we were receiving money in cash for recycling because we did two things. We saved on tipping fees, and we weren't paying the tipping fees, but we were also receiving cash for the recycled product. That all ended about 3 years ago when China shut the door on purchasing of recycled materials. So we really, there's, of course, an environmental incentive to recycling, but the financial incentive did not pan out, and so we haven't been as aggressive in that area. So it also is difficult to do in the city with the types of containers and quality of what we were providing to our residents. When the recycling program began here, it began with a small bin about 2 feet wide and maybe 2 feet high, or maybe a little bit bigger than that. And you're not going to get a lot of recyclables into that bin. So we didn't want to put a burden by penalizing our taxpayers because we were not doing our share here. And this program has been under analysis now for a couple of years. So I can assure you that as we move forward, we will be doing increased enforcement on recycling. What equipment will you need to purchase? We will need 3 new trucks equipped with a mechanical arm. As laid out in the plan, the cost is about $300,000 each, and we estimate about 15,000 95-gallon bins and about 265-gallon bins for a capital cost, I believe that came out to around $900,000, so plus or minus. So we're looking at just under a $2 million investment, which will be recouped with the reduction through attrition. Keep in mind that I believe 2, maybe 3 of our trucks now are all the trucks are old. The youngest, the newest one, I think is maybe 12 or 14 years old, somewhere in that area, and it's been bringing on some heavy mechanical repairs. But whatever we do, we're still going to be making an investment into new trucks. It's just a matter of whether we're going to do it the traditional way with maybe a tipper on the back, or we're going to go to the mechanical arm. Another question we have is, can we supply our own bins? And the city will be providing people with 1 bin, 95-gallon bin for MSW and 1 for recycling at no cost. We need uniformity for the safety of the process, and we need to also control the flow. The idea of putting out the bins is so you don't put out unlimited bags and they end up strewn all over the street. And if you're recycling at 100% or close to 100%, you'll have adequate area in the municipal solid waste bin to bring in for your garbage. So keep in mind that a 95-gallon bin is 3 times plus your traditional 30-gallon garbage can that most people have at their homes. Not everyone has them, but most have a 30-gallon or maybe a 35-gallon bin. So it's about 3 bins that you traditionally have. Another question was, I own a 3-family building, apartment building. Why do I have to pay for containers? A, you don't have to pay for all containers. Every, outside of the DMU district, everyone will be receiving under this plan 2 bins for each unit, 1 recycling, 1 MSW bin. The apartment dweller that owns that building will have to provide an extra bin for the 3rd unit, or if it's a 4-family, 2 additional, 5-family, etc. The proposal includes, as I said, the first 2 units at no cost, but in a 3-family, you're going to be producing a lot more garbage than a 1 or 2 family. The container cost needs to be covered up front, plus a nominal annual charge of what I'm proposing to be $100. Where did this come from? This is what other communities, there's many options out there that people have implemented throughout the country, and this is modeled after other communities across our nation. Garbage is a huge cost to our city. And So we're basically modifying, trying to control flow, trying to reduce safety, increase safety of our drivers. And so we're almost modifying it to come across as somewhat of a user fee, where you're going to control the flow of garbage, increase your recyclables, and 1 and 2 family homes will be no charge, but a third family will be a charge of about $100 a year for that one unit. If you don't do it that way, and the increased flow, 1 and 2 family homeowners would be paying to subsidize multifamily units of 3 and more units. So I think it's a fair way to go. I think it's a fairness issue. And, but you can also, if you have a large apartment complex or unit, you can also opt for private pickup. But I believe that's much more expensive than a $100 annual fee for to have your solid waste picked up. Another frequent question is, if my bin is lost, damaged, or stolen, why do I have to pay for a replacement? Well, the bins are the property of the city, and that's true. But you're using them with certain conditions, that you maintain them and that you're responsible for them. If you were not supplied garbage bins and you were supplying them yourself and your bin was stolen, you of course would replace the bin. So the fact that it's a city bin doesn't mean you're going to lose it or have it stolen, and that you would not be responsible for it. On the replacement part, that's not as black and white as you would think. We're talking to vendors now, and we're ensuring that that vendors offer long-term guarantees. I think the minimum we're looking at is 10 years on the product. Excuse me. And those long-term guarantees do exist. So I don't have any opposition to people writing the number, their street on the side, but keep in mind that cans are also coded. And part of the program that we do with these things, what other communities do, is the cans have a code that can be scanned in. So we will have to implement a random scanning process when people report bins stolen, that we can then scan other bins in that neighborhood. Say they got confused, and we'll know what bin goes to which property. So there would be no incentive for someone within the city to steal a garbage bin from their neighbor because they're broke. First of all, it would probably be covered under the warranty, and second of all, when the bins are scanned in on a regular basis, we'll know that the bin does not belong to that property. I don't see any other way to do it, but the big part will be the vendor producing a strong warranty or guarantee on the product, and we will make sure that happens. Probably one of the questions that was asked more frequently were holidays are crazy with garbage, and we have to fit all our garbage into this one can. I mentioned that it's not really one can, it's a 95-gallon can on wheels, so it's really 3 standard cans. But we do plan on having additional pickup during holidays and implementing a plan for additional pickup. And they'll have restrictions on that too. You'll be able to use garbage bags, not ShopRite bags, which don't exist, but appear to be coming back, I hear. But at this point, they don't exist again. But the idea of those little bags tied up and placed curbside is over. We're not going to be doing that. You place them out at the curb, you're going to get a violation. But during these holiday times, and right now, the 2 times that I've looked at what other communities are doing are Mother's Day and the holiday season around Christmas, maybe a 2-week period around Christmas or a 3-week period during December to cover all holidays, because most of the big holidays, traditional holidays, are in the month of December. So we will be doing additional pickups during those periods of times, so you don't have to worry about that your garbage is going to pile up in your garage or in your backyard, and we will make arrangements to make sure that it's picked up, especially during those high volume times. I mentioned before about 1 can, is it enough? That was enough, and I think I've addressed it, but I might as well expand on it a little bit more. And outside of the holidays, we believe for the average family, 1 can will be enough. If you ride through the town of Wallkill or most of the townships in Orange County that have private pickup, you'll see that's what they get. They get 1 can for MSW, 1 large can for recyclables. But if you're like me, in my house with a lot of people, you may need more. So I'm not asking you to pay for my additional garbage that I need. So what I'm saying and what I'm proposing, that if a single-family homeowner who produces a lot of garbage for whatever reasons, whether it's people, or you just don't like, or you just buy a lot of, you eat out a lot, whatever the reasons are, that you would have to pay that $100 fee annually, just like the additional unit. It would, you wouldn't have to pay for both cans, I think the recycling, but the MSW absolutely would have to be an additional fee for it. So we need to have some standard for, people who are, 1, 2, 3, 4 people in a home. There's no reason why we should be allowing someone with 6, 7, 8 people who produces twice, 3 times as much garbage, the same fee. So that's what I'm proposing there. One person asked, I live in an apartment complex and no place to store a garbage can, especially one that big. How do people like me figure in here? Well, we are going to, and this is for all homeowners, we're offering the 65-gallon bin because we did hear from some seniors and some people who are disabled that navigating a 95-gallon bin would be too heavy and they would not be able to do it. So we're going with a smaller bin also. Secondly, apartment houses, condos, townhomes will not be required to have individual pickup at their doors. And for the very reasons that the questioner stated, that there's no room. So if you live in an apartment complex now and you have central pickup at a depot, garbage depot, the city will continue to pick up these garbage depots. We're going to probably, I don't think we're picking up all apartment complexes, but we're picking up probably most of them. Townhouses or townhomes where people have a garage and they want to, and the complex makes the decision to do individual rather than depot pickup, we would strongly consider it based on the ability of the DPW to navigate through the townhouse project. That's not an absolute guarantee, but basically the idea would be apartment houses, complex condos would be picked up at depots. Townhouses have an opportunity for individual pickup if we so choose and the Commissioner of Public Works decides that would be the way to go. Number 10, I own a downtown building with no property and thus no place for cans. What do my tenants, both residential and commercial, do? Downtown is complicated and it's a unique part of the community for the very reasons that they stated in the question. Currently, in downtown, we have 2 garbage depots, I think. I'm not sure if we have the third operating down by North. We have one on Canal Street, and we have one behind TD Bank, the old TD Bank building or Equilibrium. And we're going to add a third, is going to be on Orchard Street in the back of the new parking lot. And I know we had one on off of Cortlandt Street, the Cortlandt Street lot. So we'll look to be adding another one there. They will be cambered at this time. All of them will be cambered to make sure that we don't have illegal dumping. Because that happens quite a bit in the downtown area. People who don't have municipal pickup from outside the community have a tendency to bring garbage in and dump it in the public depots, thus avoiding the cost of having private pickup at their homes. So we're going to have it cambered, and we're going to increase penalties, and if we're able to capture somebody doing this we're hoping that the court will fine them significantly. So we're looking to have at least 4 garbage depots downtown. As I said, these are for business and residential uses of the DMU properties only. So even if you live in the city and you want to get rid of your garbage, you can't bring it to one of these depots. This is for the downtown because there's many issues that can happen if we don't have your center city or your urban center properly address sanitation issues. So each building will be eligible for 1 can or 1 bin of each and it could be the tall or the short one. And this will be primarily for low impact uses. So a store that produces basically no garbage or paper or office, they can put their bin out every night if they want, but restaurants or heavy users will be required to bring their trash to one of the depots. There won't be any option, so you won't be looking at a restaurant and having their garbage in front of that building or in front of that business. If they do so, they will be violated, and again, with fines. We're finding the toughest part of switching to the mechanical arm. I just licked my fingers, which I was not supposed to do. And the toughest part about it, switching to the arm, is the cars parked in the summertime and some of the other issues that come along with the downtown. So we have to make some exceptions. And I mentioned the restaurants required to go to the depot. Timeliness, where we'll have tenants not bringing out their garbage at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and setting it in front of their buildings, so people patronizing businesses have to walk around it. So, but we'll work with business owners to see what works and what doesn't work. We may want to do an issuance of a certain type of garbage bag that tenants can use in the downtown area that would be available through here, since they do get 7-day-a-week pickup. I don't think the added small cost for residential tenants would be such a burden. But we'll work with the bid district and we'll work with the tenants to implement some plan in that area. I mentioned on the enforcement side and previously, but the last question that I had was enforcement and what will it be? What are you looking at doing here? And we spend, as I said, nearly $3 million a year on sanitation, and that doesn't include capital costs. So if you amortize our equipment over 15 or 20 years, you can add another $150,000 to $200,000 per year to that $3 million, close to $3 million figure. So the plan addresses the cleanliness of the city, putting out garbage bags, as I mentioned before, that get being ripped by animals or just naturally rip open is no longer going to be acceptable. Jacob and his team work hard at keeping the city clean. We have street sweeping 5 to 6 days a week, but sometimes it's not enough. When you have 28,000 people in 5 square miles, you're going to have problems along with the volume of people that come into the city to conduct business. So we need to keep the city clean. Sue Depew and several volunteers are committed to the cleaner community. I think this is a tribute to her and to that committee, the great work that they've done over the years. And but we will continue to have people who don't care. So we must have the appropriate legislation for enforcement to be in place, and we must have the appropriate equipment in place to catch violators who continue to take advantage of just placing garbage out in the street and having it all of a sudden strewn up and down the street. So those are the questions. I had more than that, but I tried, there are variances. I thought you were pointing at Jacob. So I'd be more than happy to address any questions on the plan. And the public, feel free over the next 10 days or so to send any emails, as John mentioned.
At this time, we have one question from the public.
Okay?
The question is, will this plan impact the collection of yard waste?
No. This is for MSW and recycling only.
Do we have any other questions from the public?
At this time, no, we do not.
Okay.
Thank you for the question.
Alderman Massey?
Mr. Mayor, I've always had a concern about using the arm. It works wonderfully on most of the streets. However, on narrow one-way streets such as New Street and Ogden Street, what are your plans to deal with those streets?
Well, as I said in the presentation, in response to one of the questions, there are streets, including downtown, that are going to be a challenge. And what other communities are doing, especially, so you have two issues. One is one-way streets, because you don't go back up on the wrong way and use the arm, and the other is narrow streets. So what other communities have done in that instance is that on that portion of the route, they have a fly person who's there to pull the cans out and to make sure the can is in position to be picked up by the mechanical arm. So when we begin the process, as we go through, we're going to be renting trucks for the training. We're going to be acquiring the cans first. The trucks will take, I believe Jacob said, up to 6 months to come in. So during that training period, we will also have one of the employees that are currently here that are not getting laid off will work on pulling out cans to be in a safe space. As we move forward, can placement is going to be important. So people will be required to place their cans probably in their driveway area, next to their driveway. We'll probably mark a spot for them as we move forward. But this doesn't like flip a switch and everything happens tomorrow. It's going to be a training process for our employees and for the public. So we'll be able to, over a period of time, get to that one employee on a truck possibly, but on streets, as you mentioned, may require 2 people on that vehicle, one to move the can and the other to do the pickup.
Thank you. I have one other thing, and it's more of a statement than a question, but you certainly can respond. Back in 2014, I introduced the concept of privatization of the sanitation garbage pickup department at a savings over $1 million a year. If we would have implemented that in 2015, today we would have saved taxpayers over $5 million, and because we didn't, we now have to add another $1.8 million to that, and every year coming, we lose that $1 million we would have saved each year. None of this loss is due to this administration nor this council or any other council. It falls squarely on the shoulders of a few CSEA officers. Again, not the CSEA membership, but on the officers who refuse to allow their membership to vote on this proposal. Yes, we need the approval of the union, so this bull propaganda that if we allow this one department, then what would be the next department we would go after? Again, we cannot do any privatization without the permission of the union. And by the way, they have already agreed to privatization, JCO. So the leaders simply lied. If the leaders would have allowed the membership to vote on this proposal and it failed, I would not have continued. I would have accepted that. However, they didn't allow a vote. Why, you might ask? The leaders were afraid it would pass and were getting pressure from outsiders. You might also ask, I believe, why I think it would pass. Because both sides gain. The taxpayers save over $1 million a year, and the following benefits would have gone directly to the CSEA members. Each member would have received a $1,000 bonus. We would not have lowered the insurance buyout, and the insurance buyout, for people who aren't aware of it, if you work for the city of Middletown and you happen to be covered by insurance through a spouse or through any other means, you get a buyout at the end of the year. We would not have reduced that. The difference in what the city offered for renewal of their contract would have netted each member an additional $1,800 per year. And that is a positive effect which would definitely benefit their pensions. Just think of what the city could have done with the $6.8 million to this point and the extra savings of $1 million a year. More police, more firefighters, more recreation. Commissioner Twill has always reminded us how old the infrastructure is, and this money certainly could have helped. So in closing, I want to remind the taxpayers who cost you a lot of money, shame on the CSEA union leadership. We wouldn't be here tonight discussing spending an additional $1.8 million if not for them. Thank you.
Well, I can't disagree with everything you said. Factually, it's correct in most cases, but they decided to do what they decided to do, and they had the right to do that under the contract. And as you stated, that we needed their permission to move forward. I thought we made them an attractive offer, as you stated. I didn't think the savings would be as substantial as they ended up coming in. We did bid it, so your numbers are correct, that we did bid the privatization part. I don't know what motivated them, but I do know that I was invited to address the membership, and when I went to the meeting, the union leadership threatened unfair labor practice. So at that point, I was not allowed to address the membership and make the formal offer to the members, although invited to do so. And so that's when the negotiations on privatization ended, when the union said no. We had also promised at that time no layoff, or the last offer, I think, was no layoff. There was some offer of taking on some of the public employees into the private sector, but the deal's done. It can't come back. We have to make this program work. So the fact that they passed on a good deal, which I agree with you, to individual members of the union who were working here in other departments, and even in that department, some of the members, but as a whole, they would have been better off, or individually, they would have been better off. Their theory, of course, is that they don't want to outsource work. And if you're a big union guy, you can maybe understand their theory to a point. I don't want to dwell on it, because it's water over the, what is it? Water over the bridge or under the bridge? Under the bridge, yeah. Water can't go over a bridge unless you have a flood, right? So, but what I think you could take from that is the importance of us doing something tonight, is it gave us an opportunity to look at other things. Savings not as significant, granted, but protection of employees are going to be there. We are going to have a savings, and we're going to be able to control the service. So there are benefits to each side, but I'm not disagreeing with you on what happened, but that was their call, and I think they made the wrong call, but they made it. So we're here now.
Anyone else? Alderman Johnson?
I appreciate Alderman Massey's reminding us there's obviously a very significant backstory to this decision. But as far as tonight goes, I want to say that I fully support the decision for two reasons. Number one, I know the mayor and staff have really kicked the tires on this. We're not the first community to do this plan, and he's already looked at other communities that have looked at some of the issues. I want to remind people who are listening that no issues raised tonight are new. We've been discussing them for quite a bit of time. Will there be glitches? Absolutely, 100%. Will we figure it out? I'm sure we will. And I think we really need to move forward before the trucks just stop working completely. Thank you.
Alderman Tobin?
I know the answer, but I had a question from Facebook. Will the trash have to only be collected on one side of the street, and because the arm is on one side?
No, they'd have to go up and down the street, is what the private carters do. But that's the problem for the one-way streets. But listen, in the end, that might be the solution to, we might not have the 100% reduction, we might have a spotter all over the city. But as Dr. Johnson said, the savings come from getting as close to a one-man or one person on a truck as possible. And I think that, so no, they won't be going, they won't be collecting from two sides of the street at once.
Alderman Kleiner?
Thank you. I just wanted to bring up also the safety issue here. I'm not usually up early enough to see the trucks collecting waste. Been on a night schedule my whole life, so that's another story. But I was today and going up Wisner, and one truck was coming down Wisner, going up from basically from Watkins up towards Highland. And I see the truck on the one side, and I'm slowing down, and then someone, I didn't see him, was on the other side, grabbing a garbage can and stepping out into the street. I stopped. He stepped back on the curb. I went through the light. But you definitely have people out in the streets on both sides, and they don't go up and down the street. They go in the middle of the street, from what I've seen when I've been out, and run back and forth to either side. Not an easy job, but also a risky one with traffic.
Dangerous,
and
yeah,
such.
yeah.
So
That's an added danger to include, added to the risk factor for the backs. And I don't recall anyone ever getting hit by a car, Jacob, but I'm assuming it's happened, but in my lifetime. But
3 o'clock in the morning.
yeah, and it's right, exactly why the early
yeah,
morning
usually
starts.
this was later in the morning.
Yeah, so,
Like
no, you're
9 or
right.
10.
You're right. It is a concern, and the COVID is a concern now too. I think I forwarded an article from somewhere north of South Carolina that referenced the COVID issue. Now, a community is looking at doing that just because of the COVID issue. But that's an added concern. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Burr?
Yeah, Mayor, are we gonna keep the same pickup dates? Are we gonna condense it maybe to one less day maybe, or to make it?
I don't know how, I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of training involved here. And-
I've been behind these trucks, and they really
Yeah.
do move quick.
Yeah, I don't know
Consolidate the 2 days instead of 4, you know.
it might work so well, we might want to buy a fourth truck and consolidate it down so then we can increase, like, and especially in the summertime, the recycling materials. We do get, and we're getting them now, calls, I'm sure you're getting them, that I put out my yard waste, and it's still here a day or two later. Well, it's there because, A, we're short on manpower, and we're also equipment. We have some equipment issues that we're trying to address, but it is a regular problem. That'll be up to the professionals in that, Mark Pengel and Jacob, to decide on routes. You know, we might not be able to go by ward, we might go by street. We might go by area rather than, you know, right now we go Lake Avenue, we pick up one side on one day and we pick up the other side another day. Same thing with East and West Main, or East Main. Pick up Fourth Ward one day and the First Ward another. So how they would devise the routes, I don't know. That's not my, as the governor says, that's above his pay grade, that's above my pay grade. And I'll let Jacob make those decisions or recommendations, because ultimately you folks will be making the decisions.
Alderman John Francois?
Yes, Mayor, you mentioned $100 fee, annual fee. Is that including the 65-gallon can compared to the 95?
No, the $100 fee would be if you have, for the third unit or more. So if you have 3 units in your building, your first 2 are going to be free, and then your third unit would be supplied with 1 each of the can. You would get the $100, and then you would pay an annual fee of $100 in addition. So same thing with a single family that requires an additional can would pay the $100 fee annually, as long as they want it, but it'd be an annual basis. So whatever time of year we decide to implement the fee, that would be for 1 year.
Okay, regardless if it's 65 or 95 gallon?
Yeah, because I think it's the pickup, but yeah, there's only a $5 difference in cost, but the purpose of the smaller can is the maneuverability for elderly and disabled people.
Correct.
And you can't go to Lowe's and buy another one.
No.
Alderman Green?
Thank you. Mayor, I think you heard some of this too. Is there a reason we stopped at 95 being, at 65 being the smallest and not looking any lower than that? Do you feel it's adequate enough for smaller lots and things like that?
Yeah, I did hear that, and I thanks for bringing it up, because I did see it on Facebook, and I forgot to include it in my questions. I'm not stuck on the 65 gallon. I didn't understand, and there were a few people that raised it. One of the people said, well, I don't have room to store a 65 gallon can either. Well, if you don't have room to store it, they're only about this high, I think. I don't know where they're storing it. So depending upon the issue, whatever the arm can handle, I think we should be accommodating. So if someone is disabled and wants something smaller, I think we should be as accommodating as possible, and will be.
We do have a question from the public.
How do vehicles parked on the street affect the pickup with the arm? Would I have to worry about other people parking in front of my house stopping my pickup from happening?
No, and that's going to be part of the training process for both the city employees and the resident. Currently, you're not allowed to park, I believe it's 3 or 4 feet within each side of your driveway. That's state law, and so that area should be cleared. What private pickup does in other communities, when there's parking in front of the house, they designate an area by the driveway as the spot that will be picked up. So you would place your can at that spot, and then the driver would have easy access. The arm, I think, stretches 12 or 15 feet, and it's pretty accurate. It goes straight out. We've had the vehicle up here testing them, and they appear to be something that is easy to operate, but the training is going to be important for all city staff. But no, unless you have an area that has no driveway with parking on it, then we have to evaluate a special circumstance where that might be one of the cases where the fly car has to get out and move the can from to the designated area that the arm can reach it. So it won't be an issue.
Anyone else? Hearing none, we got a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Alderman Massey, second by Alderman Consoom. All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is now closed.
Just a reminder that we'll take written comment, since it's not a formal public hearing,
Until
that
when?
we'll accept written comment. And John, make sure you publish your email or my email also.
Sure.
And we'll
What's the
we'll
date?
take it all and we'll try to address them.
For how long, Mayor?
I don't know when you guys will be prepared to move on this, but I think the earlier the better. If you can do it, vote on the 19th, we can take some public comment for the next week,
Until the
finalize the
15th?
plan.
Public comments until the 15th?
No, what's next week?
Today's the
5th.
Today's the 5th or 12th.
12th? Okay.
We can get comments by the 12th, and then we'll be ready for the 19th meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Okay. Remarks of the mayor. You good?
Really?
Good?
Really?
Hey, thanks for letting me talk tonight. First on the, we're moving ahead with the, everything we're supposed to be doing locally on the COVID crisis. We've had more employees test positive, so that continues to be a concern. And so we're taking all safety precautions. City Hall remains closed, and we are not accepting cash. Some people came by today with water bills due, wanting to pay cash, and we really don't want people handling cash right now. It's not recommended. So mail, or you can go to the door and leave a check or money order, and receipts will be mailed to you. On our essential food program, we've been supplying for weeks now to seniors. We started with seniors, then we had seniors and disabled folks, and then we went to financial hardship. We're distributing an awful lot of food. Maria mentioned the 15,000 that we're putting into the program, but I also want to acknowledge all the people who, and at the end of this, we're going to post all the names with their permission. But today we received from an organization a $2,500 check. We've received to date close to $5,500 in donations from people in both cash and gift cards for ShopRite and other supermarkets or different supermarkets. So people in Middletown are responding. No one will be without, if they have a need, will be without at least the essential food and supplies. So our community is stepping forward. And on the enforcement side, I get briefed by the chief daily about concerns about whether people are following the guidelines and following the rules, and we do get a lot of calls. But a lot of them are not violations. For example, I'm not violating the standards right now by talking to you because I'm more than 6 feet away from you. If we were within 6 feet, even on the outside, we need to social distance or have a mask on. So if people are riding in a car together, family members, obviously, husband and wife sleep in the same bed, so they don't need to have a mask on when they go in the car together. So these are the types of calls. We appreciate the calls. People appreciate the response too. So we're being, as honest and open as we can with people. If there are violations, if you think it's a violation, even if you think it is, call the police and they'll address it. But a person walking down the street is not violating the law by not wearing a mask. If they come across other people, then yes, they need to put a mask on or move away from those folks. So you can call police. The parks from what I understand, were pretty much under control over the weekend. I did receive a letter from a person who said she heard a rumor that we were going to shut down the parks. We are not going to shut down the parks, at least at this point, and I don't see any reason moving forward to do so. But people are practicing social distancing. Davidge is very busy, but as you walk through Davidge, you see people are, making way for others to walk through. So that's just an update on that. Tonight you're going to be voting on the last part of the DRI. I submitted a spreadsheet to you folks about a week or so ago regarding the bids that came in on some of the remaining projects. We have We broke it down. We lost one of the projects, which was City Hall parking and First Federal Bank. That was one of the DRI projects that was originally approved, but due to the bids coming in higher than expected, we had to pull that project out. We also pulled out the Hanford Street lot, which was not funded by DRI, but came in at a pretty huge number that we would not be able to do it, even if it was part of the original DRI funding. So we're left with Orchard Street, Union Street, James Street, 2 halves of James Street, and 1 half including Festival Square, the Erie Park, the electric testing, project contingencies. So we've come up with a budget of $5.077 million. We have approximately $4 million left in the grant. I submitted to the council a list of capital projects and access to other funds that we could utilize. For example, we had $63,000 left in our skate park project. We were going to put up lights with the skate park, but we decided to hold back on it. Community Development has kicked in some money through some federal money under the old UDAG program. The Run for Downtown, I believe, is going to commit $60,000 to the project at this point. We're waiting for confirmation, but I think the feedback was pretty positive. And we've had some, like the storm drainage that's going to be done in the downtown will come out of a previously allocated storm drainage project for a citywide storm drainage project that's been in place since 2002, and so on. So we also canceled the wayfinding project, which is $275,000. We're going to bring that in-house and do as much as we can over a period of time. Wayfinding is the directional and some of the promotional stuff that would be done, but we just can't afford to do it right now. We're not going to increase the project cost. So tonight you'll be voting on that. I sent out the question, the source of other funds to all you folks, that we were that short on some cash. And so far, Don has got back to me on $661,000 of those monies are eligible. So we're close, and we'll be able to, we're looking at other sources of revenue now to make up the difference. So we're comfortable that you can award the bid tonight, and we'll have the financial means to, we'll be within that 5% or so to fund the total project. The other thing is May 14th is the opening of the bid for the Richard Wiltshire Field on Monhagan Avenue. We're hoping those numbers will be favorable. And some might ask why we are continuing to do work when everyone's projecting a shortfall. And we're taking a position that, we are going to have a shortfall in 2020 revenues. Based on our budget, we're projecting a significant shortfall. So we're going to plan on going back to our labor unions, of course. There will be no department head raises this year. So I know that's an announcement that I haven't told the department heads yet, so if they're watching, guess what? So
Not
that's,
smiling.
we can't do it. I mean, it's just, would not be the right thing to do. But we will also look at other ways to cut costs without having layoff. I believe that we're going to, the only way out of this is the federal government. If the federal government does not kick in, and Governor Cuomo's made it very clear at the meetings that you're not giving money, McConnell is not giving money to the state of New York or other, quote, blue states, as he and the president have said. They're giving money to people, policemen, firemen, school teachers, and so on. I don't see New York State letting them get away with that, with not distributing some funds. There's a proposal in the House of Representatives right now that the formula was distributed to the communities that would allocate, and I think I might have said this at the last meeting, it's a bill by Nancy Pelosi that would allocate $5.4 million to the city of Middletown. Our estimated shortfall for this year is about $5.1 million. My personal thinking is that if all else fails, the state of New York, besides having this major war on a national level, and besides hopefully things changing in November, if that's what does happen, but in the short term, New York State is probably going to do what they did with the pensions when 2008, when the market went south and they did finance like Liberty bonds, I believe they called them back then, where they gave like a 40 or 50-year bond issuance, and they allowed communities to finance their deficit at that time. So we are not prepared, or our tax levy is about, let's call it about $17-18 million, and a $5 million cut in revenue would mean 25% of our tax revenue. So we either increase taxes by 25% or look at these other sources or work with our trades and our labor unions and others. But the projects that we're talking about doing now are capital projects that have been primarily budgeted and will be over long-term debt. I don't think it's the right thing to do to stay silent now, to stop everything. We've made a lot of progress in the last 10, 15 years. Doesn't make sense to stop projects. The two projects that Jacob mentioned, the water line and we're looking at one of the sidewalk projects in the ADA project, in which we're getting 2.2 was the original grant, 2.2 million through Senator Schumer in community development. Then we added 1.65 million in Orange County money. The bids came in at 4.3. We have a 20%, or 4.03, and we have a 20% match. So why do we want to throw away 80% of a $4 million project? And that continues on with our water lines, which are 1,800, some of them. Why do it? There's going to be an infrastructure project, I'm sure, coming up, so we need to be prepared to move forward, not backwards. We want to start looking at tomorrow, addressing the needs today, but looking at tomorrow. That's my attitude on it. I hope it's yours. I hope it's our taxpayers. They understand that we're going to be very responsible with our budgeting, and but we need to move the city forward and prepare for the reopening of New York State, Orange County, and the city of Middletown. So if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to address them.
Mayor, do you have any update on either the Heritage Trail or the Reservoir Trail project?
Reservoir Trail hit an illness snag with COVID. We had two key players in that families were impacted by COVID. We hope to have it open by Memorial Day. I would like to have it open more so before Memorial Day so that people have an opportunity to enjoy it. Our plans are to have security and park personnel there for the first several weeks. They'll be doing an analysis of what needs will be as we move forward with that project, whether it's sanitation, cleanup, restrooms, and flow of people. And we're planning on trying to limit the flow of people that go into the facility if need be, but are into the park area or the reservoir area. But we do plan on having that open by Memorial Day. There's Maria, are you still here?
Yes.
When is they speaking with Carter again? Friday. There's a conference call between the Parks Department, John Bianchi, Maria, and Carter and myself on Friday. And Carter is the consultant that we had on the project. And we're going to, we know we're way behind on that. We were hoping to have it open at the end of last year, but unfortunately, some things that were beyond our control stopped it. The trail project is moving. Jacob, do you want to
Yes.
give an update on that?
Yeah, it's moving,
Why don't you come up?
schedule.
Oh, yeah, let me get away from you. Sometimes we forget, right?
That's all right. The trail project is moving very well. They were working on Washington, and they are behind the floor chem, and they are just moving along. This month, they're going to be cutting Dolson Town Road, as I reported to you last time.
Right. I
And
saw
to
a lot
install
of
the box
equipment
culvert.
along McVeigh Road had a lot of equipment where they were working along there.
Right. And they're going right now, they're going right through the city. And we're going to have some interruption in there, and as an example, in Genung Street, they're going to have huge cranes over there. And the reason is they bought some of these precast slabs from, which was the decking of the bridge, the Tappan Zee Bridge. The county bought them, and now they want to try to install them as decking for the new bridge crossing of the trail for Genung Street and Sprague and so on. So we'll have cranes in there and all that stuff. We'll keep you posted
Okay.
with Nexel and the website.
Thank you.
Also, we're having a conference phone call tomorrow regarding New York Rising project. I did not report to you about it. The plans are 90% completed. And tomorrow, we're having a conference phone call with the consultant and the state to see how we can move it along, just continue to move it along.
Thank you.
And the other project, which you may have noticed, is the East Main to Orchard, the walkway and the drainage along Orchard Street, and that is also moving along quite quickly. Any other questions? Yeah, Jerry.
I have one other question. We have the two resolutions for the vacant and foreclosed properties, which Pro Champ would be overseeing, and my original concern was the timing on that, but I think I understand now that vacant will be the operative word, and the definition is that, at least 60 days, but as long as someone can show. I'm just concerned it's hard times for landlords right now, too, so the timing on this, as long as they can show they're trying to rent or doing something like that it won't be considered
Correct.
vacant and they're okay.
I think Alex's last email stated about up to a year or something before we would really get into any issue, but
It is up to a
the
year.
one
Okay.
concern we have, because we face this at the ZBA sometimes when we try to understand the motivation of the landlord, and I don't mean residential, I mean, there are times when people are asking for a variance from the first floor occupancy in downtown,
Right.
and they'll state, oh, my property's been vacant for 6 months, I can't rent it for 6 months, I want to put apartments on the first floor. But when you look into it, you look at a couple things. One, did they market it? No. Were they marketing it at fair market rent? No. So a property that might have brought in $1,200, they were asking $3,000 for. So they were trying to create their own hardship. So, but a year seems to be a reasonable amount of time, and I think we even have some more juice, some more input, even after a year, if someone can demonstrate that there's a hardship.
Okay.
So I think when the issue that you and Andrew raised, I think has been addressed, and that's why we delayed it at the last meeting.
Right, okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Alderman Tobin?
I know it may be soon. Is there any thoughts about summer camps and
Yes.
the recs?
We're waiting for guidance from the county. This is a topic that comes up on almost daily on the county calls. Chris and I met today to discuss, our next move, because parents are calling. And they need to plan, but what some people don't understand is we can't just operate a camp without county health department approval. County health department can't do approval until the state gives approval. So the county is waiting on the state guidance. We're waiting on the county guidance and approval, but we are getting down to a point where we're going to have to make a decision. Some communities, quite a few communities, from what Chris told me, have canceled summer camp, even in advance of a decision by the county. What I've been telling people in my office that have called is that on May 15th, when the governor has indicated that he'll give more guidance by May 15th, that we will give an answer the middle of May. I don't want to mislead anybody. It doesn't look good. I don't think I would send my child, if I had a child, to summer camp. A backup plan we're discussing for essential workers is possibly a camp for essential workers only. And, but with that comes a cost, because if we're going to do any kind of camp like that, we would need to have a nurse. We'd have to check temperatures, and we'd have to have somebody there. So that's our backup plan but it doesn't look good from when the state drags its feet this long, and Orange County's numbers are not good. Despite, you see a big outcry of people wanting to open up Orange County, still a lot of deaths, still a lot of new cases. The numbers are huge when you compare it to Ulster, Sullivan. I'm not so sure about Sullivan, but Ulster, Putnam, Dutchess across the river, our numbers are not good. The county exec is really pushing for businesses to open. He's pro-business. He's concerned about business owners. I don't agree with him on that part. I think and I think he's done a good job throughout this whole process. He's giving opinions. He's not declaring something is going to happen. But I think we need, we've gone so far, we need to be cautious, and they are now starting to come out with questions of liability on a community, on a city. So if we run a camp, and God forbid some young kid ends up with COVID, and it's related to the camp, and they can tie it to the camp, what kind of liability do you have? So I'm leaning towards a no, unless there's some assurances by other levels of government that it can be operated safely. But at the same time, I share in the concern of the parents. But if I was them, I would start making other plans.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Remarks of Alderman Burr.
My condolences to the Echo family. Dave was a great commissioner in the Parks and Rec, and he'll be missed. And last meeting I made, when Joe was talking about the lunches for the school, I think I said 7,000 a day. It was 7,000 for the week. Thank you. And everybody be safe. Thank you.
Alderman John Francois.
Yes, good evening. I'd like to thank the mayor for the presentation for the sanitation collection system. I'm looking forward for the upgrade and improvement of sanitation. We've been talking about this for a long time, so it's nice to see it, to see us get it going. Thank you.
Alderman Kleiner.
Thank you. Yeah, again, I want to thank all the healthcare workers and city workers and grocery store workers and everyone out there keeping things going, keeping us going and taking the risk, but that's their jobs and they're dedicated and we can't thank them enough. I want to say happy Cinco de Mayo to the American community. We do have, as I've said before, Middletown has a lot of people from Puebla, and Cinco de Mayo commemorates the Battle of Puebla and the Mexicans beating the huge French army that was trying to invade them, and that was 1861, so that might have made a difference in our Civil War, or that's debated, but I definitely think it would have. So hopefully people are celebrating. And I guess it's Thursday, we're the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, Friday, May 8th, but May 8th is the 75th anniversary of VE Day. That's Victory in Europe Day, and that's when when Germany unconditionally surrendered at the end of World War II. That helped make it part of the end of World War II. And I believe it was pouring here in Middletown, and yet Franklin Square was jammed and packed, and we'll try and put something up on the Historical Society Facebook site to get an idea of that. It was also Harry Truman's 61st birthday. Of course, he worked hard and went to bed early. That's Harry Truman. I wish that we had a Harry Truman now. Finally, Dave Bechtel, he's irreplaceable in this city. He's a tremendous loss. My condolences, of course, to his family and friends. But as co-chair of the warming station, he was simply unbelievable. You know, a member of the Rec Commission, as Alderman Burr said. Lions Club for many years, lay leader at St. Paul's, and always a smile for everyone. So, to say he was a good man would be the understatement of the year. Thank you.
Alderman Rickles-Hill.
Good evening. Tonight, I think I'd just like to speak to the school community a little and the students. This was when we found out that we would not be going back to school this academic year, and my heart goes out to all those students who left school on March 12th and did not realize that that was the last day of school for them this year. And I want to shout out to the teachers of this district who have just gone above and beyond to continue to educate our kids in spite of all of our challenges with communication. I appreciate all your help because I'm doing the best I can. For the senior class, I just want to say my support sign for you is proudly on my lawn, and I want you to know that while you're facing adversity a little earlier than we hoped that you would, your community and your family and your friends all love you very much and are very proud of you. That is all.
Alderman Johnson.
Thank you. Heritage Trail, yeah, there's lots of activity. You can see lots. I did bike Sunday from Goshen to Monroe. I can't wait to bike the other way. Biking on the Heritage Trail is a perfect opportunity for social distancing. And Sunday was 80 degrees. It was a beautiful day. Food distribution, I think both for the city and the school. There was an article in the paper about the schools. I think it's tremendous comment on how we take care of our own here in Middletown. It's a beautiful thing. Dave Bechtel, I'll call him a worker bee, and that's one of my highest compliments from my perspective of life. With respect to the mayor's comments on finance, I support moving forward. as a public policy spender in a lot of venues, the casual observer often says, well, why are you going to do this when you need money to do that? But we do have designated funds, and those funds have already been appropriated for that project. So not doing that project does not give us more money to do something else, as the mayor stated, and I understand that. I probably very unwisely gave you a COVID update on animals 2 weeks ago, but I did say it was only facts that I knew from the day before. And I think I gave myself 48 hours. Well, it was 36 hours later that it was in the news that 2 cats in the state of New York tested positive for COVID. I've been on a lot of webinars about animals and COVID. There are no experts in the world that will tell you that an animal can transmit COVID to you. You may transmit it to the animal. If you're following it, there was a mink farm in Amsterdam that was adversely affected by COVID, and that's kind of in the ferret family. So, and when we talk about when do we get out of this and when do we open up, I listened to an epidemiologist the other day, and that was just a fact of the day. And his perspective was that you don't have herd immunity until 60% of the population of the herd has already been infected with the disease. So if you have 200 people in the United States, you need 120 million cases to be positive before you have herd immunity. So we're all looking at this number going up, 800,000, 900,000. Even if you hit 1 million, you still need another 100 million people to have already survived the virus before you can say, let's go out and play. So is it daunting? Absolutely. But the epidemiologic facts still have to be considered in the formula. Thank you.
Alderman Green?
Thank you. I will also just echo the condolences to the Bechtel family. I worked briefly with David a few projects, and just what a wonderful guy. Like Jerry said, always a smile and a tremendous loss. And Kate, thanks for bringing up the schools. It is actually National Teachers Day, Teacher Week. So teacher appreciation, you can't say enough, especially right now. I mean, it's a whole new world for everyone, for the students and the teachers. And I think everyone's giving it their best and their all. So we really appreciate that. Actually next week, I will mention, next week is actually Nurses Week too. So since we won't be having a meeting before that, let's just really hold everyone up on a pedestal there, because we know all that they're going through and all that all the essential workers are going through right now. So let's keep it up, everyone. Stay healthy, stay home, and stay apart. Thanks.
Alderman Tobin?
Yeah. You can hear me, right? Yeah, thank you to the nurses and the teachers and the parents trying to homeschool. I know it's tough. Different subjects. A lot of us, we're not, we didn't grow up with some of this technology, and we're trying to figure out, Google Classroom, Flipgrid, PowerPoints, videos, and sign-ons. Getting our kids to work, being their teachers, as a teacher, I find it difficult. So thank you, teachers, for putting all your hard work in. I know you're working more than, I work. I'm working longer days now than when I was working in the classroom. So I have to teach my own kids, and all this new stuff. It takes a long time to teach. You're making videos. You have to make you mess up. You have to go back and retape yourself. So I'd like to thank them. Dave Bechtel, my condolences to his family. He was the Lions Club past president, a terrific volunteer. He selfless. He did so many things. He would drive people for the guiding eyes for the blind. He would drive them to their meetings in Newburgh. He was involved with the soup kitchen, his church, the warming station. As a member of the Lions Club, he was in charge of our chocolate Easter bunnies. He was always volunteering. He even was he was always singing at our events and wear our Lions costumes. So, just sometimes we think age doesn't have anything to do with energy. He was full of energy, full of light. So unfortunately, this COVID thing is wreaking havoc on the nation, and he'll be sorely missed. Thank you.
Alderman Massey?
Yes, my condolences also to the Bechtel family. We truly lost the gem. On another note, I want to thank the fire department for the great job they did last night at College Hill Apartments. It could have really been a tragedy over there. Thirdly, I want to thank the code enforcement officers, especially Ed Steenrod. He came to me the last 2 days, and he's got 2 full pages of violations. He's evidently got the first ward. What he's doing is going around, and I think the other code enforcement officers are also, reminding people that bulk pickup has been postponed. You can't put the stuff out. So please, rather than getting a violation or a letter or a knock on your door, please take it and put it back. We will let you know, the mayor said, at least 30 days ahead of time when you can put it back out, and we will pick it up. And I will end on a happy note. Happy Mother's Day, Kate, and to all the mothers out there coming up this Sunday.
Thank you. New business.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Burr to approve a change in the 2019-2020 capital budget for the fire department.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Byrd, second by Alderman John Francois. Any discussion? Roll.
Ram Kasoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
John Francois. Burr. Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman John Francois to authorize the mayor to sign a lease with AT&T for antenna space at 31.5 Kennedy Terrace.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman John Francois, seconded by Alderman Tobin. Any discussion? Roll.
Ram Kasoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr. Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Kleiner to approve the vacant and foreclosed property registration ordinance.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Kleiner, seconded by Alderman Green. Any discussion? Roll.
Ram Kasoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr. Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderwoman Ram Kasoon to approve the vacant and foreclosed property registration contract.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Ray Consume, seconded by Alderman Johnson. Any discussion? Roll.
Ram Kasoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr. Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Johnson to approve the SECRA for the South Street parking lot project.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Johnson, seconded by Alderman Green. Any discussion? Roll.
Ram Kasoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr. Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Green to approve and the submission of the amendment to the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG 2019 Action Plan, to receive CDBG coronavirus aid.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Green, seconded by Alderman John Francois. Any discussion? Roll.
Ram Kasoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr. Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Tobin to authorize the treasurer to transfer $1,288 within the Police Department 2020 budget.
Resolution by Alderman Tobin, seconded by Alderman Byrd. Any discussion? Roll.
Ram Kasoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr. Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Massey to rescind Resolution 228-19 passed on October 15, 2019, to award the bid for Midland Avenue Extension, new curbs and sidewalks to make funds available for the DRI-funded GI parking lot projects.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Massey, seconded by Alderman Green. Any discussion? Roll.
Ram Kasoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr. Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Burr to authorize the treasurer to sign a professional service agreement with Springbrook KVS to provide the programming for installation of a new fixed asset system.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Byrd, seconded by Alderman John Francois. Any discussion? Alderman Tobin.
Good question. Is this like a software program?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Update the service. Anyone else? Roll.
Ram Kasoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr. Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution sponsored by Alderman John Francois to accept the bid for the green infrastructure project.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman John Francois, second by Alderman Kleiner. Any discussion? Roll.
Graham Cassoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
All right,
Resolution passes. That's all for new business.
audit.
Mr. President, I move the accounts be audited, the claims be adjusted, and the city treasurer be authorized to issue warrants for their payment.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Massey, seconded by Alderman Tobin. Roll.
Graham Cassoon.
Aye.
Tobin.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Burr.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Massey.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Resolution passes.
Move for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.